I'm very pleased to have with you a panel of entrepreneurs. My story was a bit general. It's always so nice to have the real stories of the entrepreneurs because the entrepreneurs are essential in achieving those objectives. The objectives of innovation, but also the objective of having a new generation of people at the heart of the economy. And just, I would like to remind and tell you that when I started 3 years ago, the European Commission said to me, Mr. Scheffer, you have an important task. You have to create a new industry because the old one doesn't deliver. You are the new industry, so you each have, let's say, a company that is an example of innovation. So you're not sitting in the same order, I think, as the sheets. I have with me Nadia. Nadia will present her company. She's in a very challenging area of, let's say, early life help. Then we have Vladimir on her left side, who is more in the surgery area. We have, on my right side, we have Doreen, and Doreen is in a very fascinating type of robot. And finally, we have Cosmin with us at Nereus, and you're also kind of in an interesting zone. Maybe it's good that you start, each of you, of telling somehow of your company, and I will start from my left. What are you doing? So I'm a bit more elaborate than I did.
Thank
you have
Michael.
1 minute.
So my name is Doreen. I'm the Chief AI Officer of Xinix AI. We are a robotics company enabled by artificial intelligence. We have a soft robot system, which is like a snake, like a sprout, which grows from within. It's based on pneumatic aversion systems, and it grows up to 100 meters long. It carries a sensor head, and its purpose is to inspect places where other robots cannot go. So mainly is destined for confined industrial spaces, ranging from nuclear containment sites to refineries to petrochemical industry, sewage systems, basically every nook and crannies in critical infrastructure where currently it's dark, where humans cannot enter or other robots cannot due to geometrical restrictions. Then we have a platform, an AI software platform that digests and ingests all this inspection data, and not necessarily from our robot alone, though it's very well paired with that, but it's robot agnostics. It can ingest data from all type of inspections. And then an operator can use this data scientist in a bottle to process this data, fine-tune complex AI models with a few clicks, and then produce reports that are good for compliance reasons or for predictive maintenance goals.
And just to be precise, you're Moldovan, but your companies are also
I'm Moldovan.
based somewhere else.
Yes, I'm born and raised in Moldova. I graduated State University of Moldova, theoretical and mathematical physics. Then I went to study for master's and PhD in KU Leuven in Belgium and Technische Universiteit Delft in the Netherlands. And we are a Belgian-Danish startup. We are part of the Odense Robotics Cluster Incubator.
Thank you. Well, it's important to keep in mind, have your networks and learn from abroad and come back. Cosmin, what is your
Yes, so hi everyone. Thank you, Miguel. So my name is Cosmin. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Nereus Dynamics. We are actually one of the first companies in Europe to develop amphibious drones that can both fly in the air and also navigate underwater with a really quick transition time between the domains. The possibility of our technology that unlocks are endless, from protecting critical infrastructure to unlocking new missions in, for example, special operation forces. We are currently at TRL 5, moving really quickly, actually next month into open water testing. We're based in Denmark. I'm really happy to be back home in this amazing environment with a lot of amazing people. And thank you. Looking forward to it.
Thank you. Nadia, what is your company aiming at?
I'm Nadia. I'm a doctor, a researcher, and innovator. I was born in a family legacy for more than 50 years in medicine and education. And I create products for premature babies, mothers, children with special needs. Our company is based in Moldova, one of it. I wear quite a few hats, and I have 5 companies just to help us to scale the project. And we create everything based on neuroscience, and we combine medicine with neurology. One of our products, for example, is an incubator for premature babies, where we introduce the mother's heartbeat, and we already have results that the cortisol level is decreasing, and it helps them to recover faster. Another product, a key product, is a multisensory bed created for children with autism and neurodivergences. And we bring the mother's voice to tell them the stories, good night stories. And also for kids who can't move, they have some curtains connected with the stories, so they can follow the environment and they can develop their senses. And everything is created based on my experience as a mother of a premature baby and a kid with special needs. And it helps a lot because you feel the needs, and also 15 years in medicine and deep conversations with the parents.
Thank you. You prove basically what you do is basically your deep tech. What you do is based on your own experiences. That's also an important motivation. Vladimir is the last one. What are you aiming at? What is your company doing?
Yeah, thanks, Michael. I'm pleased to sit next to Nadia. We're also in medtech. We create a software as a medical device for surgery. So we essentially equipped surgeons with some sort of X-ray vision. The idea is that they put on mixed reality goggles, and by using AI and mixed reality, they can essentially operate patients with higher confidence, faster, more precision, and at a very, very reduced cost. And we already started validating our technology both in Moldova and Romania. And I'm pleased to be part of this panel because we're also extensively applying to European grants like the EIC pre-accelerator. So I think we'll talk more about it as well.
Thank you. Just to come back to you, Dorin, the motto of today is build in Moldova, born in Moldova, build for the world. What do you bring with you? So what are the strengths you bring with you where you're born in? And what do you want to build for the world?
Yes, I think I bring the resilience, and I bring vision, and a hard-working culture, so the work ethics. What we bring to the world with our solution, we bring light into darkness. What do I mean by that? So currently, our robot can reach places where no human can enter or is allowed to or cannot, and our robots simply cannot go because they're either too bulky or they lose communication or they don't have enough battery, or the rotors from the drones, they make too much disturbance to the environment, so the cameras cannot see anything. Our solution has none of these disadvantages, and frankly you can reach places where previously in order to inspect the operators, the set operators, they needed to cut into steel frames. They had to, in order to access, and then a human to kind of enter there with a camera. So we bring a way to do comprehensive inspections, cheaper, faster, better, and we are saving human lives by bringing this robot into operation.
Thank you. I don't take the same order. So Vladimir, what makes you born in Moldova? What is your asset? And what do you want to bring to the world?
Yeah, it's an interesting question for us because we naturally have to go out to other countries because we're subject to medical certification, which we cannot even achieve this in Moldova. So even to be in Moldova, we have to go out to Europe, certify the product, and come back to Moldova. But anyways, our ambition is actually to become a global product that will democratize surgery all over the world, and especially in developing countries.
Especially in developing?
In developing countries, yes.
And why so?
Because the cost of surgery is very high. And to give you an example of the traditional equipment, for example, for the brain surgery, the price tag would be around €500,000. Countries like Turkey, just to give you a very specific example, only 10 to 15 hospitals can afford that equipment. So we can provide the same use case, but even in a better shape at a fraction of cost.
Thank you. It's interesting to see this. Moldova is the kind of place where you can experiment, but you can never scale up in Moldova, so you need to scale up across a large area. And I like the, let's say, the disruptive side of it, of going to, in a frugal innovation week, I think we call that, how to reduce the cost to make it available for many people, and not only for, let's say, wealthy Americans. Nadia, how's it with you? What do you bring with you? What is your asset? Born in Moldova, and what do you want to bring to the world?
I would say real solutions for real problems. Active listening, the parents for many, many years, I understood that they are looking for a real solution, not something that they can buy only. And this is what I'm doing. Real solutions for real problems, and sometimes for taboo subjects that the parents are facing and they can't say to the world and find that solution.
How's it with you? What makes you Moldovan? What do you have born here? What is your asset, and what do you want to bring to the world?
So our co-founding team of Nereus, we are Moldovans. The majority stakeholders in our company, we are Moldovans. Really interesting story, we are actually the first ever generation of the national robotics team of Moldova. So essentially, we have the robotics in our DNA. We've been participating at Global Robotics Olympiad since we're little. And I would say we are doing the same thing now, but just on a different scale. From the company perspective, what we aim to do at Nereus, we want to completely remove the waterline boundary and bridge the underwater world with the upper world. For example, a problem that we're solving actually right now for our so-called beachhead users, when special forces operations, they go underwater, they currently have no tools on knowing what is happening above the waterline. So the only tool that they have is go up, expose the mission, expose their location, and potentially also their lives. And what we aim to do, and what we're testing with them actually right now, it's a drone. They launch it from underwater. The drone autonomously transitions to the surface and transmits back thermal imaging back to the diver that it's still underwater. And of course, this is just one concrete use case, and it's just the beginning. Our long-term goal, it's kind of like mass deployment to add a new layer of security to critical infrastructure, because this is what it's really important, protecting energy, communications, and so on, everything that we basically rely on every single day. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm changing the order of speakers every time. And so Nadia, what is your biggest challenge? What is the biggest thing you have to overcome to be able to take the next step?
I will say a big problem will be to find the man who can open the doors to the resources, because here we are really blessed in Moldova to have the openness of the authorities to conduct the pilot programs, and they're really open, and it's really easy to connect the universities with the hospitals in my case. But all we need are the resources in order to make it more fluent and more rapidly. Having the companies already in the United Arab Emirates and in Europe, and the certification are all ready, but only the resources will be at the moment what it's lacking for now.
Thank you. And Doreen, for you, what is the main challenge you are having nightmares on?
Well, there are many, but the entrepreneurial mindset is that we're always solving problems and moving forward, and we kind of push the frontier of what is possible. And science and business. So I think one of the most is, of course, the funding, accessing good quality funding. And Europe, by comparison to US, it's a known problem, right? So investors in Europe are more conservative, they're more timid, they're more skittish. And it's kind of not exactly a leveled playing field compared to US. In US, we have an example of a company. It's a unicorn, Gecko Robotics. They are doing also industrial inspections with their robots. However, they have a different niche, kind of. They're doing open space inspections. So this critical assets, but they inspect them from outside. Well, now we have a solution to inspect them from the inside. So if we look at Gecko Robotics, they received 200 million in funding. So those type of money is not impossible, but kind of difficult to find in Europe. So that's something kind of we would like to have more in Europe, and that's something of a challenge to access. So that's something to overcome. That's something we have to work on.
It's important to see that I was a bit puzzled by the show of the moon and Mars, which was typically an American pitch. In Europe, if you pitch, you have to be aware of all the risks and to be able to answer everything that could go wrong. while the Americans are much more on what is your vision, where you want to go to. So that's important to learn how to pitch in the US and to pitch in Europe is different. Vladimir, what are for you your biggest nightmares or your, let's say, the biggest things you have to overcome to go further?
Well, the usual suspect is funds, obviously, but that's not the only part. One of the biggest things is very, very complex regulatory landscape that you have to navigate, and in Moldova, we don't quite have this experience. So in order even to understand what this landscape looks like, you have to go abroad. So we took part in several accelerators in Romania to actually at least grow our competence in what it is like. And also something that you spoke about, the IP, the importance of that part. But equally important, I think you should be very, very innovative in your go-to-market strategy, because like you can invent a perfect technical solution, but that doesn't end there. So you actually have to hack the system. Like recently, an investor asked me, "Can you show me fast scalability? Can you show me how you can enter 5,000 clinics per year?" And that made me think that, okay, maybe the innovation is also on that side. So that's quite a challenge for as slow domain as medtech.
Thank you. Cosmin, what is for you the biggest challenge to overcome?
Well, we are a DeepTech startup. We're building hardware. So this means that the biggest bottleneck, I would say, it's production, because it's really different from having a product that works to a product that it's production ready. And this is actually a really big step and also a really expensive step. Because after talking to a lot of defense stakeholders and other potential clients, when they look at you, they simply need to see a factory. They need to know that, okay, you're able to, if today you have a production of, let's say, 10, 20 drones per month, they need to know that, okay, you're not going to be a supply chain risk, that you're going to be able to provide 100 drones the next month if they want. And the approach that we have at Nereus, it's, I know that at the beginnings of stages you have to do things that do not scale, because this allows you to move and iterate faster, but I'm of the opinion that, and how we do at Nereus, we try to integrate as much as possible scalability into the design, because afterwards it's simply going to be really expensive and time-consuming. And as we know, the business world is a game of speed. We need to move really quickly and be ahead of our competitors. So yeah, try to do scalability from the beginning, if it's possible.
And so I get basically from your findings, it's essential that you can connect to a client base or let's say a potential client base that is much wider than Moldova, because Moldova being too small. On the other hand, the challenge of building facilities or a value chain in manufacturing where either Moldova has assets or that you have to relate to, let's say, a wider system. So that also shows that how important it is that Moldova is getting closer to the European Union, because then you have a larger arena to test out and to make. But what do you see as the benefits of the environment here? To Dorin, that's a tough question because you're mainly based outside of Moldova. But what can Moldova still offer you now as an environment, and what do you expect from Moldova to be a better environment for you to drive on?
I think so. Moldova. I think in Moldova it would be really easy to pilot something due to the say small scale and population, right? So and then it would kind of, and me being originally from Moldova, having knowing the local mentality, the people, it would be really easy to implement certain things. Second, we have very high quality talent in IT and in engineering, and I think the AI part of our solution we could outsource a lot of it here. And then we could benefit also from the very beneficial tax regime through the Moldovan IT Park, Innovation Technology Park. So that's something which is quite interesting. I think it hardly has any analogs in Europe, perhaps maybe Estonia, or in the region and further from Europe, maybe perhaps Dubai. And that's something very, very attractive. So I would say that, however, even in Europe, in Belgium, Denmark, where we are, say, stationed where we are, it's not without its problems. Getting talent, since we have very specific needs for our deep tech or highly technological solution, we are looking for a global pool of talent and having kind of a streamlined way to bring them into the country, to relocate. That would be really nice. I know there are programs, but the speed of those relocations and dealing with all the documentation, visas, financing, that could be streamlined and sped up.
Thank you, Dori. Cosmin, you have already hinted on a number of things that you are looking for, but what do you expect from Moldova to do to help you better?
As I mentioned earlier, we are based in Denmark. Right now, yeah, we're based in Denmark, but because we are really right now defense-oriented, we have a problem. The problem that we have a certain threshold of components and manufacturing that can be done outside Europe. So, of course, as we go and we try really hard to be part of the European Union, I think there are going to be a lot of other companies that will move and start producing here in Moldova, and including us, because that's also what we want. But also a lesson from, for example, because in Denmark, I was actually really surprised how the public sector interacts with the private sector. I mean, when we incorporated the company in Aalborg City, I got a call from the municipality, telling them, okay, you incorporate the company here, what do you need from us? How can we help? And I guess that's also an example on how things should move forward.
I think Denmark is an interesting example of innovation because indeed the triple helix is much closer to the large corporations, the startups, the university, the government work very closely together. And what is also quite unique is that the biggest fund of research in Denmark is the foundation of Novo Nordisk. They fund more startups and innovation than the government funds. Nadia, what do you expect from Moldova as an environment to foster startups?
I will start to say that for us as a nation, the given word has a value, and it means honor. And we don't speak too much, we don't talk too much, but we know how to give back results. So what I see for Moldova as an environment will be a hub to connect all the universities all together, to have all the facilities where all the bright minds could be engaged together, and we can create, innovate, and have all the laboratories in the same place. This is how I see Moldova in the next 2-3 years.
Basically to use the benefit of the small size to have, let's say, a closed network. It's important, yeah?
Yes, and being the expert as well.
Vladimir, moving to you with 2 questions. So the last one in this round, the first one and the next. So what do you expect of Moldova as an environment? What do you need to have from here? But the second step is, what are you expecting from Europe? And what do you expect from me? What can I do for you?
Great questions. From Moldova, I think Startup Moldova is doing a great job of building this, ecosystem for startups. Shout out to Olga, great job. I wish our government was as fast, but it's probably a common thing that they are a bit slower adapting to the realities of startups. Because I just give you an example, there are some grant opportunities in Moldova, but even when you fill the application for the grant, you feel that it's built in a way that they don't quite understand the reality of startups. They would ask you questions about, revenues or, profitability at an early stage. So, and the reality is that even though the funds are allocated, there's no startup that actually got the funds. Just it's a simple example. Europe. So. I think Europe already does a great job with the EIC initiative, and I know that startups from Moldova apply to it. I wish we could be closer to Europe in terms of knowledge sharing, because building this ecosystem of startups, you cannot build it on your own because it's going to take a lot of time. So funds is one part of it, but experience sharing. So I wish someone came here and helped us build this ecosystem of startups, because it's very specific and it really takes time and we need to catch up.
Thank you. Nadia, what are you expecting from Europe?
Honestly, I expect more men to open us the doors for us women. Also because we have the access to the funds only 2 or 2.4%, so which is really sad. And we are very good in innovating in the educational field and medicine. We know the real problem. We see it every day at home, and we can bring the solution. But we need support. And this is what we expect from Europe. And I'm sure that we can have a win-win with Europe if we could access the funds easier.
Cosmin, what are you expecting?
Well, I'm going to be actually positive on this one. I mean, in my opinion, I think that in Europe we have basically all the components necessary for success, right? We have the engineering talent, we have the research base, we do have also the capital. From what I've seen in the past months since we started the company is that we do have the capability, but it's like we are lacking the courage to actually implement, to procure and to implement all of these technologies that we're investing in. But I think we are on the right track, and things are going to go well.
Doreen, what do you expect of Europe or others?
Yes. So Europe has given us a lot already. We're very happy about that. For our startup, so I am surprised how many funding opportunities, how many grants there are in Europe from either national states or Europe in general, like the EIC. And that's a great organization, EIC. However, my wish, or our wish at Xinix is to kind of have a shortened cycle from application to money in hands, to the decision. We've been talking backstage about it, right? So we've been consulted that it takes about 12 months from application to positive decision, money in hands. It can be shorter than that, right? You told me like it can be even 6 months. To have it 3 months would be fantastic. Perhaps with the advent of AI technologies, analysis, that can be streamlined somehow. But because that's the reality of startups, especially for young startups, if they don't get money soon enough to prop them up, or either to scale or to build the next prototype, that can be really critical or vital for a startup. So whatever is possible to do to shorten this time, that would be great. So that's the wish. And the second thing is, we operate with our robot in very regulated environments. And that means we need a lot of certifications. One of them being the ATEX certification, being able to operate in explosible, like flammable environments. And there are general EU directives and regulations which kind of sets that framework for all the companies operating in Europe. However, we have so many member states in EU, and each monastery has its own rule. And the reality on the ground is that we need extra fine-tuning of our documentation, of our mode of operations, and somehow leveling all those among the member states would be better and easier for us to operate in Europe.
What I take from this is basically one of the things is that, of course, you have to work at improving the conditions in Moldova. Startup Moldova is an important condition. I think what's important also is that the universities, the research centers, and the companies share more information so that you take the benefit of the small size to meet regularly. I will see the Minister of Education and Research later on. I will also ask him what are the seed funding available, because you need the first stage of funding here. Otherwise, you migrate immediately, and sometimes you need to keep that link. We have only 1 minute left, so we are going to close this session. Do you have any other message in 10 seconds that I should bring to the Minister when I'm with him this afternoon?
Yeah, I think if you can try to bridge the gap between the academia and business, that would be fantastic. I think that's the very common situation, and it's very different worlds and mindsets. If you can bridge them, I'll be happy to hear those news.
I'll do my best. Any other recommendation that I can take to the Minister this afternoon?
I would say brace up for the next unicorn in industrial robotics inspections.
Okay.
I will repeat that we need men to open us the doors.
Thank you. Thank you for this. I think we are at time, so thank you for this contribution. It's always important to have the real stories. They've only given the top of the iceberg of their stories, so if you want to know more of them, get to them, because they will share maybe another part of the iceberg. Thank you for being on this panel, and thank you for being so attentive to us, and we move on to the next part of the program. Thank you.
Thank you.